so being involved in the like women movement, so she was like another again like part of my life. So my interaction with her again started when I was doing my PhD. There was a class in my college, so I was trying to get an in-class presentation, like talking about an image. So her image was like first it came out, and since then I become like sort of obsessed with her. And whenever I found the possibility, so I wanted to study her. So before I start her, I want to give you some like brief information about the Kurdish culture. I don't know how much you know the Kurds. Can I get this map?
Where's this? Is it here?
So Kurdistan is like a very highland. When I was traveling to Bloomington, so I thought, how flat is this land? But in Kurdistan, it's unbelievably like mountainy, hilly, particularly Dersim, where I come from. It just, you cannot really walk like a flat land for a few minutes, you know. So Kurds are also obsessed with the mountains too. So they just live, I think, because they sort of tried to survive, took refuge from the past era. The Kurdish historian Mehmet Izadehi explains that Kurds in this land, there is no beginning of the Kurds. They were like always there, and then some groups came in, and I sort of interacted, and so the Kurdish nation now is like an end product of these all groups that came, particularly took refuge in these highlands. So therefore, the Kurdish language is so diverse. So we have like many dialects, and even inside the dialects, there's like lots of diversity, and also culture is so rich. So during this study, because I have involved in like archaeology and lots of archaeological stuff, and the language was really, really so helpful. And I just give you an example. One of the Kurdish man who is actually a villager, illiterate, and he's one of the prominent like Urartian reader because he used Kurdish actually. So until now, because of the colonialism, you know, the Kurdish land is divided between 4 states, 3 nations, like Turks, Arabs, and Persian. And because of their effects, and because also the academia is so under the control of the like colonialist perspective, so they just didn't see the Kurdish presence even there. For instance, Shahnames, and Shahnames, one of them actually like put down or recorded by the Ferdowsi and known as like Persian epic. But on the contrary of that, these Shahnames are still continue to exist among Kurds, particularly Yarsanis. And one of the Kurdish scholars just recently, he actually recorded like over 60 of them. And some of them are 5,000 verses. And which is this goes to the, for instance, I don't know if you heard about this Dengbeji. Dengbeji is, Deng means the voice and Beji means to tell, telling with the voice. Actually, I was thinking that is like kind of like oldest form of the rap. They singing with the only voice and telling like 5,000 verses of the story. And even takes like a few days. People just sit there and every night goes there, and this Dengbesh comes there and talk about this story wherever he left actually from the previous night. So the Kurdish culture, I could actually explain with maybe an analogy. If you jump into the Ali Baba's treasure, so just jump in, and it's huge. It's very rich. So if anyone of you want to study, I think you should consider Kurdish culture and mythology. Mythology is untouched, totally untouched. So when I started coming back to the point, when I started with her, I had like one myth, which I think in front of you, and one image. So I started from this. In order to do that, I had developed a methodology, which I call it like mytho-ethnography. What does it mean? I use the myth as ethnographic field, and through the myth, I'm doing an ethnography, which this book is actually is a product of this methodology. So I started with the construct in both myth and image. In the end, bring together and checking with the comparative mythology, with the other mythological contact with the other nations or the other people. So that was the process how I did it. First, I went through the image. So if you look at the image, there's half female, half male. Even a snake, you feel that is a male because of the decoration over the body, over the neck of this snake. The snake, the first one.
The first one?
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, look at it. Sorry, this is not good one. I think the pixel is not good, but recently her image changed with the face with like this modern look of like blue eyes, like small nose, which is really totally not competing with the Kurdish way of beauty. Because I remember a grown up, for instance, if you have blue eyes, there was like a negative connotation about it. It says chalk means it's something bad. So totally different. And this is actually traditional Kurdish beauty because she's a symbol of beauty as well. If you read the myth of whatsoever. So look at that, like the snake part is a sort of masculine form, and there is a feminine and masculine, and also like with human and animal, and also the plants, and this is actually a kind of the whole unity of the existence of the living being. So we are going to explain how is it, but this is actually still among Alevis that says Vahdet-i Vücut means the unity of the body. And Alevi faith still has this perspective that because it's the perspective of the God is not typical that the male masculine that who create people, but who give birth from itself, that we are going to talk about this verse as well. So if you look at she's horn, she's a crown. That crown means that she's something. It's a ruler, so you can understand from that. But you see that snake part also has crown, but it's not like decorate as much as she has. So she has horns. When I check with the comparative mythology, horns are the symbol of the fertility, actually vulva of femininity. So horns used for that. So you see there are like two kind of like the horns. One is both like insects antenna, but also the form of the bull horns, but the other ram horns. So they both are the symbol of the fertility. And if you come down, she has like a beads. Beads are the symbol of seeds. And the heart-shaped necklace, which is totally symbolic to the mother goddess. The heart shape is not like today's symbol of heart, but is actually the triangle. Triangle is this symbol of the pubic part of women, which is symbolizing the fertility again. So if you go to down, that this decoration like zigzags and dots and everything is related decoration of the symbolic snake goddess from the Neolithic era. And her image, because Maria Ginglas explains that the Neolithic art, they don't have like arms, hands. Instead of legs, they have insects forms. So you see that everything on her, it shows that she's from Neolithic era. Neolithic era is like an era of the agriculture. So that's everything based on the agriculture, this understanding, the knowledge of the agriculture, they put like together and created the understanding, philosophy, and religion of this era. So you can see Finberg. And as you see that there is a like red rose always there, this is like a symbolic representation of plants, but also her symbol, because red is the symbol of the regeneration, and green is the symbol of fertility, death, and rebirth cycle. So then we come to the myth. If you read the myth, that's why I want to use the bird. And the myth, actually, there's a boy who tried to survive with his mother and try to get like wood from the forest and then sell in the town and then to survive. One day he caught by the storm. So in order to survive from the storm, he gets into cave. And then while he's in the cave, he like emotionless and sort of playing with the ground with his stick, whatever. And then he found out a flat stone. And then when he picks up these flat stones, there's like a huge jar or well of the honey. And then he gets his two friends. They start to take this honey and to sell. In the end, about to finish, as someone has to go down to get the rest of the honey over there. And then he goes there, and his two friends betrays him, thinking that if he stays there, that he cannot take the half of the share because he found it, and so they could take all the share. And they leave him there, and then put the stones over, and then goes. So he's just like there and helpless. Then suddenly he finds out there's a scorpion cracks from this jar and gets into, and he kills scorpion, and then widens this crack and go outside of the other side of the jar, and then found himself a beautiful garden, and he slept there for after a while, and he found out that they're covered and surrounded by the snakes with a beautiful creature on the top, and half snake, half woman, Shâmaran. And he is scared, and then she assures him that he's not going to be harmed, but he could not go back because the human beings are looking for them. If they found out them, they will kill them. So therefore, he has to live with them. But after a while, he gets like homesick, and then in some version, they're in love. But and in the end, she lets him to go back to his life, but on the condition that he would not bath at hammams, because anyone who saw Shamaran, and if they touch water, their body become like pattern, and so they can find out that they actually saw Shamaran, they could find them. That was the condition, and he goes back, and then in order to avoid this, he takes his mother and then goes to a remote place. Of course, there are like different versions, but this is the main issue. And so they start to live there. In the meantime, in some version, the king, in some version, his daughter are fatally ill. So they need to, only the cure is Shamaran's, some version of flesh, some version blood, some version like broth from her body that when killed. So anyway, they force all the people to hammam, and then in order to find out who actually been with her. In the end, someone says that there is a remote forest there, that someone lived there, and he hasn't been taken to hammam. So they found her anyway, and then they're forcing him to show her place. But Shamaran, before he was released, says if there is a death issue, so you can show my place. And first he resists, but in the end he shows her place, and then they will take her up. And on the way back, she says to him, if they ask you to kill me, refuse it. He said, I found you killed, don't kill me, you. So this happens, but magically, there are like three kind of bloods. In one of the versions is like colors, like green, yellow, and red. So they have the typical symbol white. So the green is like the symbol of death, and yellow is the symbol of the healing, and the white is symbol of the knowledge. So therefore, in the end, magically happens that the boy gets the white bird, and the greedy vizier has the green one, so he dies, and the yellow one gives to the king or his daughter, and they heals. So that is the whole story. So I started to deconstruct the myth as well, because there's in myth, the myths are sort of the zipped texts from the antiquity, and they mostly mainly are religious texts. So I started to deconstruct because the elements, and these elements are, even the version can change, but the elements don't. Maximum, like 90%, they don't change. The order doesn't change. So you go through the elements. So the first element was the cave. So it started actually birth from the cave, actually. And then we have this like flat stone. And then we have this jar and honey. And then we have like down world. And then back to hammam. We have hammam water. And then after that, we have this color symbolism and the daughter or king's death. For instance, in no version you can find that the son of king, for instance, the daughter. So they all like have like different meanings through this myth. So when you go to the cave, for instance, I check with the comparative mythology, caves are actually considered the vulva or womb of the mother earth goddess. So the myth starts with her. So, and then if you look at this flat stone, which is also we have in hammam, they say, for instance, like göbek taşı, for instance, Turkish in hammams, means that the like belly stone. So if you look at that, the understanding of it's like the womb of mother goddess, you go the vulva, and then you have this belly stone, and you go down to her womb. And if you look at the form of the boy in this jar, which I want to show you actually from here. So it's a kind of like position of the seat. Sorry. I'm sure. And you can take my seat. Okay. So
Oh,
sorry.
No.
No.
We have some here. Always.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
So this is the cave, and boys go there. So this is like a vulva, see? And there is this stone, and under the stone there's like honey. And so this is like crack from here. She goes there to Shâmaran's world. And then you see his position here is like bottom. And this is seed. So this the shell of the seed, it cracks from that and goes there. And this scorpion is so important because even in the Western texts, scorpion is the animal that killing your fertility, the seeds of the human beings. So, and this is actually scorpion is not like coincidence over there, because in this era you have to explain why not every seeds come back. And so if scorpion kills them, they cannot come back. But the boy kills the scorpion and get out of the shell and become sprout, sort of sprout out. And then because it has to stay there, this is a pregnancy process of the earth. And then this is the mother goddess will decide how long he or she, whatever, stays there and then come back to the earth again. So you see, this is a kind of life cycle. And if you look at the mother goddess or the some pre-Abrahamic, particularly Kurdish religion, indigenous religions mostly, we have this cycle of the life. And this both symbolically, because all this, the symbolic representation and also the understanding of it. That's why in these religions, they have reincarnation system. For instance, in Kurdish Alevism also, for instance, in Abrahamic religions, when you die, you go to be classified. If you are a good person, you go to the heaven. If you are a bad person, you go to the hell. So you sort of in different positions. We don't know. In some position, they explain what's going to happen then. But in this kind of religion, life and death is a balance, which is one of the first quality of the goddess, mother goddess. The duality of balance. Duality is also belong to the Abrahamic religions, but in these religions, duality is one of good or bad. You have to attack one to preserve one. So the attacking bad one or death or dark or whatsoever, but to preserve the good one, light one or so on. But in this kind of religion, indigenous religions, there is no good or bad of dualism. There's a balance between. For instance, if the darkness is bad, the lower world. So how these seeds can be germinated, right? So sprout out, can come to life because they have to be there for a certain period. And then you come to life and then you enjoy the light of the sun. And then whenever you finish your life process, you go down again. So this life is like this. For instance, in Alevi faith, the main thing is soul. So the soul will change the form 1,000 times. And in 1,001 time, you become the perfect human being and they become the part of this holy body, the whole universe, the whole earth. So that is actually explaining to understanding the religious of indigenous population, which is connected to the mother earth goddess and still continue until today. And many symbolism that now, and we go to this archaeological site. Yeah, for instance, this is Shâmaran cave in South Kurdistan. This is one of the most important cave in the world because there is a burial with the ritual burial. It's like a 4 years old boy, I suppose, and then is buried with the sunflower. So I read the article from it. The one who found it, the archaeologist, says because mourning task. So because they were so sad and then they put flowers, which is not true because it's actually religious ritual that they surrounded by the flowers and seeds in order to be rebirth again because they consider him as a seed died and then going to be rebirth, which is, I don't know here, but in Kurdistan and also Turkey, many places, the shape of the graves is like a shape of pregnancy, human being, because they actually sowing them want to come back. Until now, today, that many of these symbolisms still colonized by the new monotheist religions, which they do not really mention at all, the previous one. But still, so when I started to study this, it's unbelievable that everything around us, but we just do not connect. So they just took over all this symbolism and then said that as if their own, they never existed. So that's why one of the chapter of my book is like the how Satan or Shaitan is constructed by monotheist religion in order to demonize this huge, powerful Mother Earth Goddess religion in the region. So if you're interested, please go and read this chapter, which is this demonization is still continue, which is, I think, start with the Christianity and later more aggressively continued by the Islam. In Judaism, Judaism sort of has this understanding, but it's not like used as much as this demonization process. I think because my explanation was this religion, this Mother Earth Goddess faith was so powerful. In order to survive against her, they had to do this kind of sort of ideological construction, reconstruction in order to get over her. That was my explanation. And I don't know how much time we left.
We still have some
Okay.
time, but sorry for the interruption. Just to tell everybody, if you're interested in those archaeological sites, currently there's a documentary on Netflix about Shanidar Cave and the remainings of Neanderthals found there. So if you are interested, you may also consider watching those documentaries to learn more about the culture and the archaeology.
This burial was at least 60 or 90,000 years old. You can understand how these religions are so powerful, deep, and historical, and actually, despite that being sort of demonized and pushed back, and their traces being erased at all. So this is Temple of Anahita in Kermanshah, the East Kurdistan of Iran. So I want to actually I got this picture because of this the archaeological shape architecture. You see that's Bali is the symbol of her as well. So now used by all these Abrahamic religions without mentioning her at all. So if you look at that, their roofs are like typically because they borrow from it, because they do not start fresh to get everything to be done from the beginning. So they just borrow it and just colonize it. So it's her symbol because the blackness. And hammams, because if you look at the hammams as a architecture is exactly the same place. And inside the hammam, there's like one entrance, which is like a kind of vulva. And when you get into it, it's like hot water around. And so there's like a belly stone over there. And belly dance actually is a kind of ritualistic dance. And this priestess, but on this belly stone, they were dancing because they're like using their breasts and hips is a kind of like sort of nursing and pregnancy. It's a kind of like ritualistic dance now. It's totally erased from this religious background of it and become like a kind of pleasure for men that they can like watching women's body. So, and then we have like Gremirazan, Hrebreshki in Kurdish, but now changed their name as Göbekli Tepe. And this is at least 12,000 years old, which has totally changed the perspective of the religious part. And this is in North Kurdistan in Riha, now called Urfa. And you see that how this typically, despite nobody's sort of official said, but it's a kind of like temple for the mother goddess faith. So you see that's how the round shape and this like T-shape still in among Alevis, for instance, you have this T-shape, pillars. In our houses, for instance, one of them is so important that people go there and worship there, which is mostly black one, because black is also the symbol of the mother goddess or darkness. So that is in Kurdish, for instance, if there's like a kind of fight between two families, if one of family put like a black curtain on their door and nobody can touch them, so that's finished. So even they kill like 10 of them, they never touch this one because this is the symbol of her body. And if anyone of you see in Lalesh, the temple of Ezidi faith, there's also black snake on her, and the black is symbol of her, and snake also is a symbol of her. Despite now they disconnected with this religious past, but all this symbolism still exists among these pre-Islamic, pre-Abrahamic Kurdish religions, indigenous religions. Okay, and then can we go? Okay, this is Hisni Cave in Batman, and this is at least 12,000 years old, and this is one of the oldest city or this archaeological site that has 9 criteria or out of 10 criteria of UNESCO for the World Heritage, and yet Turkish state built a dam and now submerged this site. And this, I'm trying to explain that the Kurdistan is one of the oldest human settlements that actually many civilization activities goes on there, if you go back. And then also the Mother Earth goddess that is actually still exists among the Kurdish communities, such as Yarsanism, Alevism, and Ezidism, and in some are Shabaki or the other names as well. So, okay, her role, for instance, in Kurdish culture, she's part of our houses, and particularly, she's part of the dowry chest, because as I mentioned, that not son of king or whatsoever, but the daughter, because Kurdish culture is very much connected to the mother goddess, and because it's matrilineal community, so the community actually based on the mother, so continue with the mothers. Kurdish families, particularly the oldest one, who the large families, they're actually under the control of actually a mother. So in my research, because the honey, so you come to honey, if you look at the bee under control of one mother, so very important queen. So they all following her. Wherever she goes, they goes there, and then they die for her. So this is actually a kind of like connection between the mother, earth goddess, and faith and the bees. So that is why with 2 main reasons among the others, the honey is sacred, because first is bees are like a kind of symbolic mother earth goddess community, and secondly because honey is collected from the plants, which is a symbol of the regeneration and fertility and so on. For instance, among Kurds, the queen of the bees is called Shaheng. Shah of the Hangu means the Shah of the honey. Then I want to come to the term of the Shah. The term of Shah coming from the first in written text in Avesta, the Zoroastrian text, which Zoroastrianism is like a kind of patriarchal reinterpretation of the previous religions. So in this text is the Shah is connected to Shaya, and yeah. So when I read all these texts, they translating this Shaya because from the Kayanian is, for instance, in the Encyclopedia of Islam, it says like anything related to Shah. So Shahnameh is actually coming from this era and still exists among Yarsanis. So despite that, they sort of translated as mostly Lord, King, or ruler. But Mary Joyce, one of the prominent Zoroastrian scholar, she says no, she is related to Mother Goddess Armaite. And Armaite actually sort of erased from the text, even from the Zoroastrian, there's very little mention, but Anahita become like important. Anahita is her daughter, because Zoroaster sort of, in order to sort of diminish her role, he said, oh, in text it says like she's both is daughter and wife of mother. This is like incest, something like this is mentality of how patriarchism become dominant in the culture. Because Mother Earth Goddess, there is the concept that there is a male and female part, as you saw on the Shamaran, because this is not there is no sexual intercourse at all connected to this religion. Among Alevis still is like this, because this religion is the religion's fate of the Neolithic era, which they did not have any knowledge about the connection between the sexual intercourse or femininity and masculinity. So that's why in their image, there's masculinity and femininity together. There is no sexual intercourse, there is no sexual connection with that, because they thought her body produced both these feminine and masculine forms, because she does it. There is no sex at all. The sex, the connection with sex with the reproduction is actually found out much later, like 10, 15,000 years later, when they domesticate the animals. So therefore, this Mother Earth Goddess religion has no connection with the sexuality at all. So the sex with the goddess is so much later, when the paganism become like dominant. So therefore, in Alevi religions, for instance, there is no gender at the reference, and there is no sexuality meant in this religion. So because there is no connection with that, and there is a love typical to this faith, because the motherhood, she loves her, everything is her children, so she loves them. That's why they continue, and that's why she asked that, do not kill me. So let them they kill. And still among Alevis, killing is unacceptable, including hunting. Unnecessary hunting is not accepted among Alevis, because killing is a kind of sin. For instance, anybody kill anyone they will not be able to join in the ritual, gem ceremony, for instance. And the hammams actually was built by Jamshid, the Kayanian king, and the name of the gem actually coming from him too. But today, anything related to Alevism is disconnected with the past, but mostly trying to put under the Islam, which is nothing to do with Islam. Totally different religions, but in order to cut this background as well. So I think I should stop here.
Yeah, you have, I mean, in 2 minutes, so if you have anything else to
Yeah,
say.
if you have anything to ask, I will be happy.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for the talk. I have too many questions, but I don't want to use my position to ask my questions, and then I hope you learn some from the seminar. I really like this place. You find a lot. If you ever go to Kurdistan, in particular the north part of Kurdistan in Turkey. By the way, let me tell you that Kurdistan is a forbidden word in Turkey nowadays. So it is like a legal word, if you say that. But have some Shamaran things. So there are a lot you're going to find it in Mardin, Urfa. Mardin is, so I mean, there are a lot in Mardin. I've seen things like that. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed the talk and you have some questions, kind of, but let me ask my first question. This is just, I have one question. Because in Kurdish language, based on linguistic factors, we say Yahude. And based on linguistics, Khude there is feminine, is not masculine. While in all the other religions, like Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, Abrahamic, the God is masculine. So do you think it has any connection with those things or not? Because why we say Yahude, and based on the grammar, Ye is for feminine, not for masculine.
Yeah, actually, in the book, I have this art, so I could not cover everything, of course. Kwa means from itself, and da is to give, birth, and mother is the name of the mother. We said Diawi, for instance, his mother. So if you look at that Kwa, that's why I said like the monotheist religions, God is creating from hands, from like earth, from whatsoever. But in this religion, Hua is creating, is giving birth. So there's a feminine. That is actually why Kurds are not really accepted as proper Muslim, because they always continue to have this connection with their mother gods. So even, for instance, even they converted to Islam, they still in every house, they have like Shâmaran in their houses. So I found out that among Alevis is actually her myth translate like a kind of like masculinized. She become like a bearded old Shamaran. Shah means the Shah and Mar snake and An is plural in Kurdish, like English S. So the Shah or the Mar actually in history is considered to be like a name for the Kurds as well. In Armenian old records, you can see that. So in Kurdish still Mar, for instance, Mir, when you said Mir, is you can use for the third gender of snake, but also man. So it's like interconnected. Besides, for instance, Kermanchki Zazaki dialect, Mordam is the snake and Mordam is man, human, is patriarchal society, of course. So it's so interconnected. But I was really surprised. Why? Because Alevis are more progressive society, really, compared to the Sunni or Muslim Kurd. They're so progressive. But why they masculinize it? Because I found out they still have religious connection, and the patriarchy is so obsessed with the monotheism, and therefore they try to get rid of this like feminine quality of her. But among Muslims, they don't have religious connection, but they have like a past sort of faith with her still continue among them.
Thank you. So let me take some questions then. Who have a question? You may. Oh, Lindsay.
So just to follow up on what Hewa said, and thank you so much for your talk. It was really fascinating for me. I was thinking a lot about things you said about the Kurds and being attached to the mother goddess. And I found this fascinating because I recently read some research about this analyzing Syriac Christianity and how in Syriac, ruh is the word for spirit. And so originally in Syriac, when you would talk about the Holy Spirit, it was a she, feminine. And it was only once Greeks started kind of influencing Syriac Christianity that they forced that to be changed to a masculinized Holy Spirit. And so I was kind of wondering if in Alevism, has there been any kind of outside influence? I know you were talking about how sometimes with Sunnis who have Shamarans, it has been masculinized, but for Alevist followers, is there also kind of a forced masculinization of the Shamaran or the mother goddess, or has that mostly been kind of kept at bay?
Among Sunnis, not masculinization among Sunnis. In Alevi, among Alevis. That's why, because the Alevism is under the pressure of the Islamic monotheist religion. So they try to sort of create this because it become patriarchal religion, and they think that feminine deity is not proper. So because they sort of being in a way under the influences, that's why they're trying to say, okay, we are also worshipping to the male divinity. This is my assumption, let's say, as far as I don't know if I understand.
Thank you. Any other question?
Thank you so much for this talk. I really enjoyed it. I have two questions, or maybe something made sense to me that in Kurdish, we don't name the family by the father or the last name by the tribe in common, last name whatever you have like in the US. It's by the mother. So that has to do with this myth where like in the Kurdish families more people are known by their mother
Yeah.
or their wives, not last name. A question from that I have recently, I heard that this myth has been appropriated by the Turkish new media to the appropriation of Kurdish culture. What do you have to talk about that, and what have they changed from the myth?
Well, Kurds are sort of desperate to do that because they are latecomers. So they try to, because this settler colonialism has like some kind of methods to justify their existence there. Therefore, they try to erase the old like connection with the other like indigenous people or native people over there, and then to say that they try to sort of dehistorize them, and then to make this land as if a kind of like empty land that they just came and then it was theirs. So therefore they are so much obsessed to erasing the history of the other people, nation in this land. And when the Turks came to Anatolia, because this myth at least like 5,000 years old. So how I know that? Because this unity of body, when it was sort of divided into pairs, 3000 BCE, because this is not yet that. So this is still not divided between men and women or female and masculine forms, like consorts, like couples, like a wife and husband or brother and sister, mother and son. So if you look at least 3000 BCE, so like 2000, it's 5,000 years. Turks in Anatolia only 1,000 years. And then when they came to Anatolia, they were all already Islamized. They were converted to Islam. So this pre-Islamic myth and religion and how can it become this? So, and the only thing they use the Tarsus version, because she's in Tarsus was killed in Hammam. But in the one of the chapter actually discussing it, the Tarsus is one of the most important paganic sites in this geography. And so there are lots of fights going in there between the pagans, Christianity. Christianity actually emerged from that. In a way, St. Paulus actually wrote the Bible in Tarsus. So Tarsus is not like Turks trying to connect because of the Tarsus issue that is like connected to the Turks. Tarsus has nothing to do with it. Tarsus is there was like conflict between mother goddess diarrhea, for instance, Christianity, Judaism, and pagans. So there was like conflict between. There is nothing to do with the Turks at all. Turks, they don't have this myth. It's not because we are like against Turk or something. They don't. If they had it, it would be in Middle Asia too. They have nothing to do with it. So it is a kind of colonial perspective trying to colonize everything in their name and then to justify their existence and then to justify their discrimination and exclusion of the Kurds and other nations or groups that actually existed before that in Anatolia.
Thank you. Sophie, undergrad.
One thing I'm really interested in is like the symbolism of snakes specifically and the things that they get associated with. And so I was curious, I feel like usually in different academic articles, when people talk about snake symbolism in terms of like fertility and mortality, they talk about like snakes going above ground and like below ground, and then snakes shedding skin and snakes being associated with water. And so I was curious, like in this case specifically, do you think, it seemed like from what you were saying that maybe the above and below ground is the most critical aspect? Are there also variations where you see aspects of like shedding skin or like any of those other sort of things?
Yeah, this myth and religion and everything is based on the observation of the animal and plant and so. Yes, the snake is the only one of the creatures that goes down and come back. Also, because I couldn't really cover everything, and this the one of the quality of the mother goddess is like mother goddess give birth, but also has power of the death as well. So the snake is one of the symbol of the death as well. So death is not totally negative things because that is like a part of like informing another form. So and the snake is also the creature that goes down because also disappears in winter and reappears in summer. So like sun also is like a part of this religion, like because dies every night and born every sun. It's like death and birth cycle. And snake is one of them. Snake also symbolizing the huge rivers because water is the symbol of her womb as well because the fertility is based on the water as well. In some of these version of it, there's like water and river and power over river also there. So this is a very important symbolic connection with the mother goddess, mother earth goddess and snake.
And our last question, Dr. Narges. Yes.
Thank you very much. I wanted to ask, so the Kurds are at least nominally Muslims, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, now that they have this background of mother goddess, do they also have special respect for the daughter of the prophet more than other Muslims do have? Or for example, if they are Christian, do they have special respect for Mary? Because if they have this background of a female, a very prominent female figure in their native religion, do they convey it to the Islam or to Christianity, to the prominent female figures in those religions?
Yeah, I think that's why the Kurds was not really considered as proper Muslim because still the position of women is so strong despite like thousands of years. And for instance, in Kurdish culture, if you know that Kurds are fighting to each other as well, a lot, blood spilled. But for instance, if they get like caught in the fight, and if one woman comes there and then takes her veil down and then put down, and everybody stops. So these actually are kind of like traces of her, because white leche is her symbol. White because it's I think talk about it because the white color is the symbol of her, and so her knowledge because the knowledge of plant everything. And then when they put down and steal her command, and someone says, Mother Goddess says you stop it, and they will stop. Kurd still has this culture, so it still continue. And the love for the daughter of Muhammad, probably, because for instance, among Alevis, there's like Ana Fatma. Alevis used as a symbolic way of it, but mostly they use there's hate against the violence because religious violence, they don't like it at all because the Muslim use violence against Ali and his family and mother, one of them, Fatma. So they actually create a kind of like symbolism. For instance, in among Alevis, which is the only connection with the Islam is Muharram, the fast. And this Muharram is only the ritual that comes with the Islamic calendar. The other calendars of Alevis nothing to do with Islam. But also, very interestingly, they connect to the water, for instance. They said Ali's children and Hassan, Hussein, and others, they were all their children. They were dead from the thirst, which is nothing like this. Nothing happened. They didn't die because of thirst. But why they connected? Because they were so because of the faith. The water is the right to everybody because the mother goddess product, so you have to have it, and this is your right. if anyone like prevent you to receive water is against the faith. So that's why how they actually connected with the water in order to have some connection with the Islam and use this as a kind of strategy to survive, because otherwise they would force them to convert them. They would say, okay, we are Muslim because they killed Ali in the mosque, so that's why we don't go to the mosque. And also connect with the water because, oh, they were that with the thirst, which is not true. But they have this connection, so in order to carry out. And still, and another thing I think in Christianity, because the power of the religion, this religion faith, we can see that the first conflict among Christianity is the conflict between if the Mary is mother of the God or mother of the Christ. Because the Nestorius, for instance, that's why he was exiled. The first Christian was exiled by the Christian community because he was in this region where the mother goddess faith was so powerful. He actually opposed it and he was exiled. And the first conflict actually with the Christianity also connected the mother goddess actually. So through the Mary, if she's a mother, or if she's mother of God, or if she's mother of the Christ. So that is another connection.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Denise.